was an event that took place in my life many, many years ago when I was in private practice as a psychotherapist in Colorado. And it all started out quite or in an ordinary way. I got in my car and I was headed to work that day. I was going to go see clients. And my mind was preoccupied with, okay, who am I seeing and what am I going to be helping people with today? And how does that look? So I'm organizing the day in my mind. And I came to an intersection very close to where I lived at the time. And there was a red light, so stopped the car. Turns out I was the first one from the crosswalk, in the crosswalk. So I'm doing my ruminating thing and trying to organize my thoughts. And I noticed that in my peripheral vision to my right, that there were some people in the crosswalk now, and they were crossing the street. That's what you do. And so I didn't think much about it. It didn't deter me from continuing to think about my day and organize it. But as the people got closer to the front of my car, I noticed it was a small group of people. And then I paid more attention to it, and I realized it was probably a group from the high school of special education people, mostly young high school students. There was a teacher, and I quickly, looked at it and said, "Oh, okay, well, it's a special ed class," in my mind. And so, what caught my attention, even after I had decided what it was and what was happening, they kept moving slowly across in front of me. There was this young man in a wheelchair. He was, I would have guessed, maybe 14 to 15 years old. And that wasn't striking, but the fact that he was in the wheelchair, he wasn't in a wheelchair just sitting in the wheelchair. He was strapped in the wheelchair, actually, to keep from falling out. And his body was involuntarily flailing around, including his head. He couldn't control his body movements at all. And I thought to myself, the thought just naturally popped into my mind, the mind I had then anyway. And it said, oh my God, this kid is going to be in a wheelchair, unable to control his physical movements for the rest of his life. And it was a very strong feeling of pity that came up in me. And at that moment, when he had just entered my visual field and was right in front of my car, and in the windshield, I could see this kid. He was maybe 10 feet from me. And all of a sudden, all this flailing around stopped. His head just turned very quickly and stared right through my windshield, right into my own eyes, and froze there. And I was a little stunned because he's now staring at me. And then I hear a voice in my head that isn't me that says, "Don't feel sorry for me. I chose this body. This is my last time here." And he said it in a very stern, adult way, and really a masterful way. And I immediately got who he was. And I heard these words come out of my mouth spontaneously. I said, "Namaste, Master. May the divinity in me recognize and honor the divinity in you." And I never forgot that moment. I was so ashamed for having judged him completely incorrectly, by the way, by his looks and by his condition and situation. But he had come in to this lifetime to do his last incarnation. And he came in practicing not needing his body, not counting on his body and all the normal social interactions and all that stuff that bodies give us an opportunity to experience. And I was just, from that moment on, I never saw anyone, especially my clients, as broken, because you're judging the book by its cover, as they say. Not a good idea. Mm-hmm. So that gave me a gift of humility and curiosity and reverence for the people that I saw, no matter what their condition, no matter what their story was about their life experiences, and no matter how victim-like they felt and conveyed to me that their lives had created that. Here's a master, a spiritual master, who chose this body in order to practice not needing it for his last incarnation. I mean, I still get chills when I think about that because it was so present, and the message so deep and so profound. And it's so affected me that it's affected PSYCH-K, because we look at PSYCH-K from a facilitator point of view as nobody's broken. This is just a condition or a situation that a person has not yet been able to address, and more importantly, learn the lessons that come with these adverse conditions. We think of them that way, but what they really are messengers, spiritual messengers. And he chose that because that's what he needed in this final incarnation. I mean, I was just so grateful. I had such a transcendent kind of day with my clients, and I've never looked back.